Mm.
So if your body's not actually using the vitamin D and getting it because your fat cells are absorbing it, then that can cause depression.
Isn't that interesting? I want people to understand like there's there's reasons why you're depressed that are in your control because I think people with depression feel a loss of control about it. But you can
Yeah.
take these active steps and what you said with the placebo effect, you can use that to your advantage.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can believe that removing fructose from your body will improve your depression and
Hmm.
it could.
I do that with my objects of power, and that's just like
Hmm.
bracelets and stones and things or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Um, I'll meditate on them and just kind of like imbue them with thoughts and desires that I want, and just like every time I feel it or recognize it or see it, I'm like reminded of this is my goal. This is what I'm trying to do right now. This is what I need, and this is what I want. So
Yeah.
it like keeps me on track.
It is time now for something positive.
We might be headed to the promised land,
of speaking the truth and finding our external liberty once we internally liberate ourselves.
Problem can only be solved when there is a kind of coalition of conscience.
Because that is how it works.
This is the beginning, it is not the finale, and that's why we're here, and that's why we rally.
We've got to be that creative minority.
Find a way to get in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble.
Frankly, I know we've got to do something.
Hey everybody, welcome to Public Access America. My name is Jason. His name is Zack with a CH because he's not an anime character. His name is Marko, although sometimes he uses Mark, which confuses and befuddles me. You know I'm Jason, and we're just here to talk. Normally we get together at the end, Jeffrey and I get together at the end of the week to talk about the topics and rationalize them without having all the hysteria behind them. But we're pre-recording this week so that Jeffrey could have his day off, which I always encourage other people to do for their co-hosts. And I got the hosts from Pong, which I always have great time talking with you guys about. Pong is what is Pong, Zack?
So Audio Pong is a podcast where we talk about everyday topics and sometimes not so everyday topics where
Yeah.
we just kind of talk about our philosophy and our ideas on things and how we see the world, and to think about things that in a more not necessarily creative way, but a more intricate way, and just to get into the weeds of things and really like kind of like figure out human interactions and why we do things the way we do them and different things like that.
Why?
Yeah, what did you say why?
Yeah, why? Why do that? There's
Oh.
a famous motivational line like why do it? Why go that far? Why even try?
Well, I think it's important just to think about things and to kind of like get your ideas out there and say them, because you don't really know what you're thinking until you have to put them into words. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like they're not really solidified, and it's important to know what you really believe in and to kind of like just like make them more concrete.
I love
I
that.
think that's important, just to have creative discussions and things like that, and constructive
Yeah.
discussions.
I think people think a certain way and they don't know if other people really do too. So I think podcasts like ours and Audio Pong and Bottled Up Bitches and some of these other podcasts, Adam Has a Beard, that we promote is that they promote open conversation to show people that
Yeah.
you don't have to see life the way you're seeing it. There's 100 different ways you can see it, and if you add those all together, eventually you're going to have a bunch of perspectives that show you what life is really like. So I like your
Yeah,
perspective.
I wish that Marco and I disagreed more. That's
Yeah.
like a problem we seem to have, is that we agree too often. So the conversation is like just us like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's totally right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's more of like, I like to get out of my echo chambers. So I will purposely find things online that goes against my ideas, just so I can see why people think that way. Because I think
love
that's
that.
important too, just to like to understand why people are seeing the world the way they see it.
I love that. And like Marco, is it like important that people see the math of your what is it? The solutions you're coming up with, you're talking, you're having a conversation, but at the end you have a determinating factor, and it's like, is that important that people see how you came up to that conclusion?
That's a good question. I kind of look at it this way. Either you want to be understood or you want to be accepted. And if you want to be accepted, I think you're a narcissist. If you want to be understood, that's more of like a relationship that you're trying to build, because when someone understands you, you understand yourself a little bit better because there's a reflection of your thought, right? It bounced off
Okay.
someone and it made sense. It's like a radio ping.
Yeah.
That being said, I often think the thinking man suffers the most because there's just no bringing people to logic through force or rational.
Right.
So you hope that I'm more like a doubt peddler. That's how I see myself. So I'd rather just plant a seed of doubt in your mind and see where it goes, or if you care that it goes anywhere. And both are interesting. I
Agreed.
think that, I think I often overthink things too. So, but it is, I don't know if I'd say it's important. Sometimes it is, if the matter you're discussing is trying to reach a conclusion that
Right.
produces, some kind of decision, then if you're running a business or you're working with your family, whatever, the situation might be. But being
What
lost,
What do you think about that? Like, people want to know, like, I see all these posts on Twitter, like, I hate this, I love that. And I'm thinking to myself, where's the math behind that? How did you get there? Like, I don't understand how some people get to the conclusion they get. What I was thinking about is, we want to believe something and we want to have a fact behind that. But what happens when a bunch of people want to depend on something, but there's no fact? I think what they do is they sit there and they scramble and ask everybody else what the fact is. And I'm seeing like portions of this country just like fact free, trying to scramble for one. So what I think is important is to say, hey, like, maybe politics isn't the lens you want to see this through. Maybe it's more of a human perspective. Like, how would you feel about that? And then come to the terms of, does that person represent you? So facts matter, but I think lead the conversation leading up, like you said, you're not really good at dates. I'm not really good at dates. Like, I know the topics going on, but I couldn't tell you like the exact names right now of the people in the Kenya presidential race, but I know it's a shit show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have to take a human perspective because I don't have the numbers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of the work that needs to be done to find, truth or just, let's say, fact, takes patience and sometimes maybe years of patience and work and, scientific collection of data.
Yeah.
And most people don't do that. And I'm one of them. I mean, I often joke with Zack that we're laborers. We're the pyramid builders. That's where we come from.
Yeah.
And if we want to break out of that, we've got to be really patient, and we've got to develop, I think, like a defense against impulsion, right? You've got to impulse, interruption, because that's really what holds you back from really committing to anything in life is impulse interruption.
Interesting. Every doorway is a
focus.
reset of the memory, right?
Well, I
for
sometimes I
real.
wish I could do that.
Once I heard that, I realized where my life was going off the rails. Every time you walk through a doorway, your mind searches for the things in that area that you want. And if you can just remain and keep your thought through the doorway, you can keep it through the next room. Zack, is that how you feel?
Dude, with like the doorway thing, absolutely. Whenever I go through a doorway, I totally forget why I went through that doorway, what I was going to do. Like, I go to the kitchen to get a glass of milk. No, I'm there searching the fridge for like, why am I here?
Right.
There's a reason. I just don't know what it is.
I can be in the kitchen and hear like a notification on my iPad on the other side of the house, and suddenly it's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah. And it's designed to do that. That's the scary part.
That is the scary part, but I noticed that if I just get my hands wet, I can't touch any of my devices. So I just try and do dishes or cook or something, you know what I mean?
That's an interesting way to solve the addiction. Interesting.
I like resetting my mind, or I like creating tasks and routines and then perfecting them. You know what I mean? For me, that's just nice to know what I'm doing next. I know what I'm having for dinner yesterday. You know what I mean? Today. And that makes me feel better that I can do other things like this,
I never know what I'm going to eat. I just open the fridge and be like, oh, I got food. Cool. And then I grab
Wow.
it.
That bugs me because I open my fridge and I don't buy snacks anymore. Like I buy fruit, and
Yes.
Yeah.
because I wanted to change my diet. I thought if I just have like a fridge full of fruit, that's what I'll eat when I'm stoned and hungry, right? But
Yeah.
no, I just like close the fridge and go to bed hungry.
That is a constant daily struggle for me. And
Yeah.
I know, Zach, with you, it's sugar, but to me,
Oh,
to some
dude.
degree, it is as well. I understand your pain.
Yeah. Sugar for me was a big one. I just wanted to cut. Well, they found out my blood sugar was like over 600, and they put me
Jesus.
emergency, and I was like, eventually I just realized I can't eat those sugars. So I started with like rice. I was like, I'm not eating any more rice. And then it was, I don't need soda. I'd rather have a piece of cheesecake. And then it was like, well, you don't need the cheesecake if you eat a bunch of fruit first or salad or something healthy. Fill my body with water, and then whatever's left, I can binge on. So
Yeah.
been a
Yeah.
long
Yeah. It's all about
process.
finding tactics and how to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, not the big cold turkey challenges, but the little challenges that lead you up to success. Those are what's important. That's what I like to micromanage on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah. I like to do extreme challenges though, too. Like
Do you?
the first time I fasted, I did a 7-day fast. Like
Wow.
I had never gone a day without eating. And then I just did it like, oh, let's do 7. It's like, see how that goes. If I can't do it, then I can't do it. But I really wanted to try.
What
Day
did you
3.
what did you have? Did you do the smoothies or just nothing at all?
No, so it was just black coffee and green tea
Holy crap.
and water and electrolytes.
Okay.
But electrolytes are just like pure potassium, sodium, and magnesium. It was
So your
like
heart doesn't
flavored.
stop, right?
But yeah, because you're not. Yeah, you need electrolytes. Like otherwise, you'll feel really bad. Like you'll get dizzy and
Yeah.
lightheaded and just like sluggish and really bad. I lost a lot of muscle doing that though, so
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing a 7-day fast unless you have a real reason to do it.
Agreed. 2 questions though. Do you get high?
I haven't until my 30th birthday, so like earlier, like at the
Okay.
end of last year.
And do you meditate?
I used to do that a lot when I broke up with my last girlfriend.
Yeah. I
And
lost
I
my
started doing that because I was like, I don't want to be destroyed by this because it will. So I
right.
was like, I tried to find every little thing I could to come out of that healthy.
When I lost my wife, I just did not want to eat anymore, and it was like, and then my sister brought some weed over. I didn't get high. And then so I started getting high instead of eating. And then I was meditating the whole time. And then my meditation started bringing me to places like our universe is just wrapped in time. That's the boundary of our universe is time. And go even higher and be like, our universe is just one bubble in the beer foam that is existence. And I was like, holy crap. So I had to stop doing that. So I started eating. I'm just wondering if you had any like revelations during your fast and if you had meditated or just any exotic ideas that just popped up, because I'm curious if that's part of the recipe to the Akashic record,
Oh, right. Yeah, the global consciousness thing.
Yeah.
So really what I gained out of that was a better relationship with food. I didn't really have any revelations about anything, like any profound thoughts from it. I mean, I always I'm thinking like weird thoughts like that though.
Nice.
So like that's just normal for me.
Wow, cool.
But like what else? It taught me, it showed me how far I can push myself. Like even the 7 days, I could go longer if I chose to, but like I didn't want to, and it was probably getting a little dangerous as well.
Yeah.
I was still working out during that time too, like 2 hours a day for like 5 days a week. I think I was still doing. I don't think I was doing the 7 because I was doing 7 days a week during the pandemic, but then I started working on a house, so I had to cut back.
Smart.
Yes. So
I bitched out. I tried to do the same thing he did because I'm like, yeah, okay, challenge. I bitched out after 3 days, man. I had a headache. I think that was the worst headache in my life.
Yeah,
I felt like my house would explode. So if I just had it held onto the reins, it'd have been all right.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because that was my hardest day. And then once I got past that, I was no longer hungry. I just had a desire for food.
Okay.
Like it wasn't like I was like, and I didn't get it. So you have ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, and that goes up and down with time. So it's like a circadian rhythm kind of thing. So when you usually eat, your body will produce ghrelin to make you hungry so that you will eat. But that kind of went away. And after like day 3, I just wasn't hungry anymore. I just had an intense desire to eat. It's like I just really want it.
Wow.
But like working out, I would get like ridiculously hot. Like my body would like overheat. What else? There was times where I would feel pretty weak, but there was other times where it was like, okay, this is just another day.
Yeah. Well, you're a better man than I couldn't do that. And that's why I kind of get high now, is because I don't like to eat. So my life for the past like 5 years has been learning a relationship with me and food again. So
Yeah,
I can totally respect that. Why would you even try that, Marko?
I
Sorry,
just
Zach.
like being challenged, and
Okay.
you know,
Your friend is
I've
doing
done
it,
that with
I'm gonna
other
do it
friends
too.
that we set a challenges, like some workout challenge or a reading challenge, and he brought that up, and I'm like, I never tried that either, so I thought maybe I would try that. And by day 3, I'm like, no, Zach's wrong. He's crazy. I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm out.
He's not Steve Jobs. It wasn't worth it.
Well, yeah, and I think part of it too was I was reading about Wim Hof. I hadn't yet bought his books, and I was watching videos on it, and boy, I got strong negative things to say about that guy after going through that experience. But that was part of it. You know, I was doing the cold showers and stuff like that. I thought I'll try it
Ew.
as well.
Tell me more about that. Who? What?
Wim, well, what's the best way to describe Wim Hof, Zach? I guess he's kind of a guru type character. He believes that there is a holistic healing effect. There is a science to lots of changing our habits, right? Like, so not bathing in warm water because it raises your body temperature and therefore your blood pressure, and therefore causes damage to your heart. This is not proven that I could find. This is just what this man believes.
Sure.
And he's written a book on it. He's been on a lot of different podcasts. He's been on like even real popular ones like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and a few others. And he has fasting techniques. He has breathing techniques, the cold water thing I mentioned, and they're supposed to improve your well-being. They're supposed to improve, you know, your mind's reaction time, your thought process, your focus.
Interesting.
I will say this: it did improve my focus, but only because I had something to focus on. I otherwise believed everything else I tried was placebo at best.
Okay.
And, you know, the way I look at things is like, if you don't notice a change, then it's not working. I mean, you can't just convince yourself. That's just me. But so that's why I got a negative takeaway from that. But I think you liked it, Zach, didn't you?
What, the fasting?
Well, yeah, the fasting, and then just in his philosophies in general.
Okay,
I got the impression you liked it.
I find Wim Hof a little bit off-putting just whenever I listen to him. When he has a lot of interviews. I can't remember the girl's name that he is interviewed with. She's a doctor, and she's in that whole longevity like science thing, like Dr. David Sinclair and them, Huberman, Dr. David Huberman. And I think his breathing techniques are valid because I've tried them and I definitely got warmer. And that's his thing, is like he's the Iceman, right? Like he does polar plunges and things like that, like in the like near the Arctic and stuff like that. And that definitely works. Like you can raise your body's internal temperature, and you can fight the cold. Like that's a thing. Your body does it naturally just by shivering. So if you can harness your body to do it on command and things like that, that's valid. Also. Cold plunges and hot saunas they work by activating heat shock proteins, which activate like sirtuins and things like that, which help rewind your genetic clock. Like there's science behind it. It's been studied, and that does work. And then calorie restrictions, that's also a big thing. Like if you look at a lot of blue zones, which are like people that live over 100, like Okinawa, like they're constantly in like a 15, I think, % deficit. Like that's just how they live. But they're also eating a lot of carbs. So it's like showing people that it's not just about the carbs. Like calorie restriction can be important too, not just through not eating enough, but like also working a lot. Like that's important to exercise.
Agreed. I think we're putting the carbs are the gasoline we're putting in our car. So if we intend to use them all and not store them, then we need to take in the carbs we're going to expend. Protein is kind of like the oil and the battery, and like nutrition is everything that keeps your car running. But a lot of times people will put a full tank of gas in and then fall asleep, and it's like you just parked your car.
I feel like it's almost like the NOS, right? Like that's what carbs are. Carbs are quick burning, like gives you a boost.
Right.
The cool thing is that you can time your carbs, right? So you can time them with exercise, and because your muscles store glycogen, which is what carbs kind of turn into, is just sugar molecules, and you have glucose stores in I think it's your liver, and then you also have it in your muscles. So the more muscles you have, the more glycogen you can store, and therefore the more carbs you can eat without gaining turning it into fat.
Correct.
And you're just having energy in your muscles, and you can do it either way. You can eat them before you work out or right after you work out, because you're going to expend those glycogen stores relatively soon. So, or you're refilling them.
Right. But I like that. You need to take in your carbs when you intend to use them,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking for a longer like pace to life, then you need more protein, right? But if you're looking for a short burst to accomplish something, carbs are the way to go. Everything in life has a carb to it now. And that's what they call it fructose malabsorbent, which means like corn syrup, corn flour, corn powder, corn products, and some white bread products, it just sits in my system and creates hydrogen, and then I burp that up, and it just doesn't leave my body. And so it's a detriment, and everything seems to have fructose in it because we're trying to get away from carbs,
Yeah. Well, it seems like there's high fructose corn syrup as well. Like that's a different thing.
Yeah,
that's like a
dextrose.
concentrated form of fructose, because there's fructose in your fruits, like berries and stuff like that too. That's kind of like where the name comes from.
And onions, by the way.
Oh, dude, yeah, vegetables are full of carbs, but they're also complex carbohydrates. So it takes longer for your body to process them. So your insulin response has a better time dealing with that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, they give me the sugar I need, but they also fit into the lock and key in my colon. You know what I mean? Or my bowels. They're like, hey, we know what this is, but my body does not know what like dextrose is. It says, we don't like that. We'll keep it here for now.
Do you think that is that like to do with your microbiome, or is that like just something different?
I don't know. That's the path I'm on now, is trying to eliminate it and then add things in to see because what happens is my body says that's foreign and then swells everything. And it's like we need to, but it won't leave until I get it out, And so I'm just learning that process. I just discovered that like a month ago.
Oh, wow.
So,
and have you started eliminating then?
Yeah, I eliminated everything, and I just started bringing like fruit back in.
Okay.
Like,
how you been feeling?
Much better. There's a mental health aspect to fructose, the depression that it causes, and once you get rid of it, then you want to start working against it. You know what I mean? You're like, I feel good, and now I know why I'm not depressed every day. So there's so much to it. And then just learning what fructose is, and then I was eating Captain Crunch, and I was like, this is all fructose.
Yeah.
And then it was like
just sugar.
Cornmeal. What does cornmeal do when it's processed in my body? It turns into corn syrup. Damn it! So
that's rough, because like corn tortilla shells are like my favorite. I love them.
I agree. Doritos. I had to give up Doritos and Fritos. Come on, that's
like
not
any
fair.
chip. Yeah.
Yeah, I can eat potato chips that aren't made in corn oil. I think maybe
so
corn oil.
So you get like soybean oil instead. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because that's unhealthy too. Like most seed oils are bad for you.
That's true. I love that. I'm sorry, Marco.
No, I'm processing all this information. It's all good to me, man.
Me too.
As far as, I mean, I notice just the simple things. I look at it the simple way. When I was in good shape, I was eating healthy and I was working out. I was exercising sometimes all day long.
Wow.
What was eating
But
healthy for you?
That's what my question was.
I
yeah.
broke it down to, I went, especially because I lost 60 pounds was the most I lost in one go when I first started at Medieval Times at my last job. And
Intentional?
that was, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I wanted to beat all the naysaying, right? And I want to prove it to myself that I could do it, especially at my age, because I was in my mid 30s.
But not because you were fat.
No, I was fat. Yeah,
Okay.
I hated myself and the way I looked for decades, and I was in and out of gyms and all kinds of diet programs and never held on anything.
Yeah, weight is a depression factor too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's image is something I think most people struggle with. I'm actually jealous of people that don't struggle with their image.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have other struggles, but that's one that, boy, you can have that. I hate that shit.
I don't know if I'll ever get past that, like how I look. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even really an argument for looking good. It's just being happy with how you feel and look, if that makes any sense. Cause I know I don't mind getting older and, and therefore uglier or slower or weaker or any of that stuff that I can handle.
More distinguished.
Right. More distinguished. Yeah. I want to become a philosopher. So I don't need an Arnold Schwarzenegger body for that. But yeah, no, it's healthy to me was cutting out all pop, all sugar drinks. I went just to water, drank literally nothing but water. And I ate, tuna fish with, it's going to sound maybe gross to some people. I liked it, but it was tuna fish in a bowl with cherry tomatoes, a little bit of vinegar, and sometimes some unsalted crackers just for some starch, some extra carbs. And that was it. I ate that every night, when I got home from work. And there was here and there things, but when I was in good shape and working out every day, I could eat anything I wanted. My body burned through it. I was losing weight while eating worse. There was a period where I was such a furnace that I was, eating pizza and other crap again because it just didn't even matter. I was still losing weight. It was unreal. Yeah. Once you get that locomotive going. Yeah. And of course now it's all destroyed. Gotta get back on it.
One of the funny things about fat storage is that fat locks onto vitamin D, and vitamin D is it helps fight depression as well. So if your body's not actually using the vitamin D and getting it because your fat cells are absorbing it, then that can cause depression.
Isn't that interesting? I want people to understand, like, there's reasons why you're depressed that are in your control, because I think people with depression feel a loss of control about it. But you can take these active steps, and what you said with the placebo effect, you can use that to your advantage.
Oh, yeah.
You can believe that removing fructose from your body will improve your depression, and it could.
I do that with my objects of power, and that's just like, bracelets and, stones and things or whatever like that.
Yeah.
I'll meditate on them and just kind of like, imbue them with thoughts and desires that I want. And just like every time I feel it or recognize it or see it, I'm like reminded of, this is my goal. This is what I'm trying to do right now. This is what I need. And this is what I want. Yeah. So it like keeps me on track.
Like a memory wall, right? Or a wish wall, whatever they call those things.
I haven't heard that one before.
Some people they put an image of what they want on a board. And then when they wake up, they pass it every day. And then they realize, like going through the doorway, that's what they want to accomplish.
Yeah,
maybe they should put that just outside their bedroom. Like instead of if you look at it and then forget when you walk through the doorway.
Or you just like don't even see it. That's my problem with things that are like that go into the environment. I stop recognizing it. I stop noticing it. So it has to like be on me. I have to like bump into it, or like, actually like if I'm like, cheering on a crowd and then like my hand rattles, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. It's like, it's something that's like, it's a new stimulus. It doesn't like get old, so it's always a constant reminder.
Maybe that's why I make routine
bell on your body.
Yeah, it is. It's like ringing a bell. Yeah.
I mean, I literally told Google to remind me to drink more water every hour. You know what I mean? Because I need those things. I won't just grab water. I'll get lost in I don't know where my water is right now. I'll get it later and I'll never get back to it,
How much water are you trying to drink a day?
About 16 cups.
16 cups. And so 8 ounces. So that's a lot of math.
Yeah.
80.
Well,
But
what
you
I
have to force
realized
yourself
is
to drink water, though. Do you enjoy it?
I don't mind it. It's just I'm distraction based and I don't consider myself important. And so any task that diverts myself from taking care of myself is more
Mhm.
worthy than myself. So,
It's a quicker reward, quicker outcome too.
well, I was raised to please my partner, not myself. Like to make my life the solution to their problem instead of being self-partnered and solving my own problems.
Well, you
Or-
fit in a Slavic family just fine.
I was gonna say that
Yes.
sounds like just like what society puts onto being a man is like you're the one that's there to solve the problems. You're the one that's supposed to help and like,
Right. Yeah.
make things better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would, I kind of binge watched Jordan Peterson because I agree with most of the things so far. At least I agree with most of the things that he says, and I love his stance when it comes to like the necessity of like men in general, like masculinity, how important it is. Because I definitely do agree that I think it's under attack all the time. Sorry, that would not to like completely jump.
No, that was called
from,
a
lipids
flawless
to-
segue.
Yeah, let me just pull that out.
Well, I think people feel that masculinity is under attack because there's not a single definition for it. We don't have a John Wayne, and so
Mm.
we don't have anything to attain to. And right now, like we talked about, we're all deciding individually what masculinity is, but women expect a different variety of masculinity based on a lot of individual factors in their own life. What their dad was like. Some women have daddy issues and need a man that's strong and decisive, right? And other
Mhm.
women are those alpha women that are like, tell me what you think because I'll think the other, And it's like, how do we find the balance? Because we can't generalize ourselves to be a perfect man if every person we're encountering is individually expecting something different.
That's why I think so. I have a theory. Maybe it's just an idea, an opinion, but I think there were actually very concrete descriptions of what masculinity is or was. And I think because masculinity has become ambiguous with how roles in society have changed, that we have so much fluidity with roles and like
Right.
gender identity. And there's a whole new like effort to just identify with really anything that it seems like you can just make up whatever you want and identify with it even if you don't completely understand it. I think that's part of the problem. I think because masculinity has been sort of shattered, and that was in my opinion, the bedrock for any other identity, because there was nothing. Because what is masculinity is the strongest of identities, right? I mean, even if you think of like, I think so. If you think of like a strong leader in the past, it really doesn't matter if they were male or female. They needed masculine traits to be strong leaders.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I thought was masculinity is defined heterosexually one way, but in the lesbian community, there's still the parameters of feminine to masculine, but there's a different definition. And in the non-binary community, there's people that feel masculine or feminine depending on their day. So the definition of masculine has subsets of definitions, and we're all following different subsets of definitions.
What are those subsets then? Because I feel like I disagree. I think masculine traits are just masculine traits. They're just adopted based on who wants to use them. So
Okay.
what would a subset of masculinity be that's different between a heterosexual man and a I don't know, butch lesbian, let's say, or a masculine lesbian?
Well, that's interesting because the lesbian is masking the typical definition of what masculine is, but then there's these individual factors that make her unique. You know what I mean? So it's hard to define, but within that community, there's a stereotype of a butch lesbian. And like, we're moving away from those definitions within the subgroups, I think, and everybody's realizing they get to be individualized. But I think heterosexual men are like, we don't want to be individualized. We want a stereotype. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, okay. Well, now I'm confused more. So
yeah,
what is,
I can't give you
what is the stereotype?
Here's the thing I learned. No
Mhm.
group is monolithic. And so if I attempt to define it as it, I'm going to be in trouble. So I can't say that every butch lesbian adheres to a certain
No, you can't
definition.
generalize. I get
But
that. Yeah.
I do believe that you could say to in the heterosexual community, we know what masculine and feminine is. You know what I mean? Because we are the original inventors of the definitions, right? The Rock,
Yeah, I also think that's
definitely.
where.
The Rock is definitely masculine, even if he's in a tutu.
Okay, what's masculine about The Rock? Give me 3 traits that are masculine about The Rock.
Size, shape, and intimidation, right?
Okay, well, intimidation would be a subset, right? He's intimidating because of his size and his shape.
And his look and his voice and his presence,
His deep voice,
his
yeah.
energy. You know what I mean? If he wanted to, he could give you a look that would scare the shit out of you, but he could also hold a baby and look so masculine doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, it's interesting. I like breaking it down though.
Yeah.
Because I think
I like
Yeah,
fleshing
that's-
stuff out. I just never intend on doing it by being questioned. I'm always
I know, I
the
put you on the spot.
antagonistic. I like that.
Yeah, I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take your show over, but I was just curious about that.
Well, what I grew up with, I'll put it this way. What I grew up with was
Mhm.
the John Wayne, Alan Alda spectrum. So
Yeah, the Hollywood.
right, you were either John Wayne and you were masculine, you were a man, or you were Alan Alda and you were a liberal. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
Yeah, a full balloon or a shrinking balloon.
Right. So what I learned was to try and be that guy that women want that can be John Wayne or Eleanor. I can comfort you when you're crying, or I can kick the shit out of somebody that fucked with you. And that's what I'm always trying to balance. And I don't know what a woman wants, and I don't know if they know either.
It was a great joke about that I heard recently. I don't know if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's a little long. So there's a new store. It's called the husband store, and there's 6 floors to the husband store, and you can only visit each floor once. Okay, and if you decide to pick a husband from that floor, you can leave, but you can only visit each floor once. So a woman decides to go to the husband store, and she goes to the first floor, and it says, "These men have jobs." Oh, that's pretty good. You know, I like a man with a job. And she goes to the second floor. And because that's not good enough. Yeah. You know, first floor, who's going to pick from the first floor? Right. Yeah. If that's expected, everyone's got a job. But second floor, the door says, these men love children and they have jobs. Well, that's okay. Things are getting better. It's, you know, that's pretty nice. But let's see if things are going to keep getting better. Let's go to the third floor. Right. So she goes to the third floor, and the door there says that these men are beautiful. They love children and they have jobs. Well, who would stop, right? You're halfway there. Let's go. Let's just keep going. Fourth floor door says these men are very romantic. They're beautiful. They love children and they have jobs. Wow. Okay. Let's keep going.
I'd stop there.
Fifth floor. What's the door say? These men are romantic. They're beautiful. They love children. They have jobs and they have money. Well, what could possibly be better than that, right? You're at the 5th door. The woman decides, I got to see what's on level 6. She gets to the level. She gets to the 6th level. The door says, "You are the 391st billionth visitor to this door, and this floor is just to prove that women can't be pleased at all." Maybe screwed that joke up a little bit, but yeah.
No, you did it perfect.
But I think
that's like a pitfall of humans, though.
Yeah,
too. It's like if I keep seeing that the next thing's better, I'm gonna go for the next thing then. Like absolutely. If it's guaranteed seemingly that it's gonna get better, I'm gonna go for it.
Right.
And then it's like Icarus. That's what it is. That's the story of Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Yeah. My grandfather was a king of being satisfied. Something that I always try to emulate in my life, because he never needed the next door, you know, out of coming from that job. He was able to be just satisfied with like the first thing he found. My brother's like that. I wish I could be like them. You know, I struggle with that because I agree with you, Zach. It's like, well, with that, there's more on that lollipop. Why wouldn't I want it?
Yeah. I don't know. You were like, these men have a job and love kids. And I was like, so a pedophile with a job, you know, like, where's the, I would have probably grabbed the guy.
Twist.
I would have grabbed the guy on the 5th floor's hand and like walked up to the 6th floor with him, just kind of peeked in and been like, damn it, I got you though, you know?
Yeah, play it safe, get the safety. Yeah. That's hedging your bets.
So you were
smart way to
saying
live.
that your role models for being a man was like John Wayne and people like that. Marko, what was yours?
Role models for being a man?
Yeah. Did you have any?
Oh yeah.
I
mean,
love you,
one
Zack.
of them I can't stand anymore. He pissed me off. But there were 3. So
Okay.
let's put it this way. There was Mark Twain.
Oh.
There's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then there was Hugh Hefner. And two of them are gone. And one of them was never alive for me in my time. But those were for most of my life. And the reason Mark Twain was for his mind, for his philosophy, his way of looking at things and twisting it and making you think and sort of uncovering through. I love the idea, the ability to say a lot with very little. That's so profound. To me, that's the epitome of like wisdom and intelligence combined.
Yeah.
And Hugh Hefner was, well, first of all, you know, he's a playboy, right? But at the same time, he was, to me, the ultimate gentleman. I mean, he had just the epitome of class and grace and dominance, and you know, just the presence of a man. Like he was so, it wasn't, a lot of guys I think would go, oh, and that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bicep as far as like that's concerned.
Right.
But like to be just like this general of yourself, right? This king of yourself. That to me was Hugh Hefner. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was not about his look per se, but his hard work. The fact that this guy just never gave up. Like he's, you know, before there was David Goggins, in my opinion, there was Arnold Schwarzenegger, because that's a very similar story, in my opinion. You know, everybody was against him, told him he couldn't do it. And I feel that same challenge when someone says you can't do something or it won't happen for you. I'm like, you have no idea what you just ignited in my brain. You just told me that it's a matter of time before I get it done. Yeah. Because what is in my way, right? What really is in my way other than me?
Conan really did define a man for me.
Who's that?
That movie Conan, right?
That's my favorite movie of all time.
That really defined, because the gender roles were so specific, right?
I mean, that actually that's not what stands out to me about that movie. What stands out to me about that movie is that it's about clean revenge. And I know that psychologically, some people, you know, some neurologists or people in general, philosophers, argue that that's not a healthy, what would you say? Like,
well, it's not a healthy construct to live by.
It's not to live by. No, right. Exactly. To be someone of only revenge is to be the monsters, to be the villain. But
right.
Ooh. But to have a clean revenge like that, to be satisfied. That's what that movie really spoke to me, I guess, now that I think about it. Like, because when Conan reaches, when he gets his revenge, he's satisfied. He went through that whole that terrible life of being a slave, of being a gladiator,
right?
Of starving, of, you know, constantly fighting, constantly being in a state of stress and violence. Also, he could avenge the death, you know, to kill the memory, just to put that to rest, to bury that trauma. And once it's buried, he's just bored. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's fantastic. He's just done. It's over. You know what I mean? Like
I know he becomes king and everything, but in that like post,
but he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's just
like everything that happens to him after that revenge is just, all right, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not, if you read, like, I have the books and the comics and all that. So, and it's interesting too, because the guy who wrote it was suicidal.
Revenge, right? Better to die in glory and revenge than boredom.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my hope is I like Hunter S. Thompson's Will, you know, that Johnny Depp carried out. He shot his corpse out of a cannon, you know. Not that I want that, but yeah, I want an exciting death. I would rather die violently than, you know, on a hospital bed, you know, counting my breaths.
Agreed. That you just described your future.
I hope not. I don't want. I don't want to be wasting away while I'm still, you know, the last one to die of my friends and family, kind of thing. So
I'm 10 years younger than you, Marko. There's a good chance.
Thanks.
How much older am I than you guys? That's funny.
I think it's 10, 10, and 10. I think it's 50, 40, 30. Yeah.
We got three different generations here.
That's fun.
I love that. Well, I wish we had a live chat so we could ask people to ask us questions. Generational.
I've been wanting to do that.
Oh,
we should actually, since we all live in the same state, we should do kind of like a.
Oh, I'm in Florida.
Almost like a Crowder thing. Oh, you're in Florida now. That's right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, maybe we can still set it up, because I would like to do it for a while now. Like, you know, like the 1 minute podcast idea. I would like to steal that. You know, sit by a subway, you know, down ramp, you know, and just see who comes up to talk to you and what they have to say.
I wanted to do that with homeless people. I was like, you don't even know, because everybody's like, homeless people are the problem. I'm like, no, homelessness is. You know, just because you dress them in homelessness doesn't make them less of a human. Like those people
story has to be the most intriguing stories. It's like, how did you get here?
There's some people that are going to be like, I love it here, and there's other people going to be like, I just got foreclosed on. I've been here a day. You know,
you really should check out one of my favorite shows on YouTube is Soft White Underbelly. I forget the gentleman's name. It's Mark something. He's a famous photographer who started this channel where he's basically always on Skid Row, but he jumps around the States. He's been in Chicago and a lot to the Ozarks and
I think
Tennessee.
I follow him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically what he does, is interview streetwalkers and street people, and it's very fascinating. But I
did reach out to him to ask him if he would want to help put content in some of my episodes, because I really thought like a 10-minute story would help people understand that we shouldn't criticize. I'm scared of being homeless, so I want to protect them before I become them.
That's the fear of the middle class, as George Carlin said, right? There was scared the shit out of the middle class.
Yeah, there was a podcast, five decisions away from death or something, and it was the guy from Hoarders, and he had like found himself in a ditch because he had decided to do drugs and then drive and one other thing, and like he was one more decision away from death, so he decided to like reform himself. And
so it's like 5 degrees of bacon, but like instead of bacon it's death. It's like, how many steps away of death am I?
Man, if you're 5 degrees away from bacon, you need to get 3 degrees closer.
That's a struggle. French fries and bacon, that's what I miss all the time.
It's Kevin Bacon, not like bacon as in
I got
the food.
Kevin Bacon, he was in JFK, he was in something else, and he was in Footloose, of course, but he's the one like celebrity that I honestly can say outright I do not like, and for no rational reason. I just do not like him for no rational.
That's how I'm about Jonah Hill, so I get it. Like, Jonah Hill's a good actor. I cannot fucking stand Jonah Hill. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just my inner caveman be like, screw you, fat boy. I don't know. I don't think so.
Mine's that one girl who she was in Gilmore Girls, and she's done a bunch of movies since then. She's like the fatter lady in it who runs like the hotel with the main character.
Wow.
She's
what else has she been in? Because I've never seen Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
I know she's in a bunch of movies.
I'm too masculine for that.
Yeah. Is she the comedian that was like Bridesmaids or whatever? Was she in Ghostbusters?
Yes, it's her.
I hate her too.
Wait, is it the McCarthy?
I don't hate her.
Melissa McCarthy?
Maybe. That sounds like a name.
She was in Spy and Tammy and
I think that's her.
Yes, that's her.
Okay,
I think that's her. Yeah.
I cannot stand her. Like, she was good in Gilmore Girls, like she was fine, but then once she started having like her own personality in movies, I was like, I hate this character.
Wow.
Like I can't stand that character type. She's just rude and off-putting, and it's like there's nothing appealing about you. It's like I can't stand this.
Well, how many female comedians do you think are funny? Do you have
all of them?
Just, that's the sound of a man trying to get laid.
I think I had to get out of. I'm getting out of some of my earlier opinions.
I don't think I couldn't name. I can't name names like you just saw. Like, I don't know anyone's name.
If it's not Mitch Hedberg, I don't know who you are, or George Carlin, or Stephen Wright. Those are the only 3 comedians I know.
But it's not that I don't think that female comedians aren't funny. I think they're hitting a different demographic. I don't think they're geared. I think their jokes are not geared for me. They're geared for other women, and that's their life that they've lived. So that I don't have the same lived experiences, so I can't laugh at most of the jokes, because that's what most of their jokes are going to be about. But I think that, I mean, when I'm having conversations with certain females, I think they're funny. They can make jokes and I laugh at them. So it's not that they're not funny. It's just that I don't relate to the same lived experience. Okay. I think that's the problem.
Samantha Bee. There you go. Is Samantha Bee funny?
I don't know Samantha Bee.
Oh, okay.
She's not even real.
What is she? She was on the Jon Stewart show. And then Samantha, she does that something with. She's a political woman. She does jokes, but she doesn't do sexual jokes. So she would be a comedian you could relate to. And I just find her like delivery off-putting. So I could say like, I don't think.
I do know her. Yeah,
I think she's insightful, but I don't think she's funny. And a lot of times she does do it from a female point of view. Like, men are stupid because women think this. But women can't be monolithic, so they're not thinking that. And it just confuses the fuck out of me. What are you, a stereotype or individuals? Come on, women, figure it out.
You're throwing me into a wall before I can decide to laugh. You're killing the laugh, which is an art in itself, I have to say.
Agreed.
Yeah, like
Who's-
anti-jokes.
Yeah, like the anti-comedian. I
yeah,
haven't
who's
seen
that
yet
guy?
on TikTok.
Andy,
No, I just thought of it. Maybe there should be one.
the guy.
Well, there's
from,
anti-jokes, like dead baby jokes are anti-jokes pretty much.
Oh,
How's it an
yeah.
anti-joke? It's just a joke.
And then a lot of them are, and then there's other jokes that like kind of like so like in Kung Pao, that movie, they have a good anti.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
a good
what's
one.
the difference between a bungee cord and an owl? My ass. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
Like,
make
that's-
sense, and I love saying those
like,
things.
That's like a Norm
randomly.
Macdonald joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes nowhere. It just dies.
Yeah, those are anti-jokes.
Yeah, there was a guy. I don't know if you remember the TV show Taxi. There was
Oh, yeah.
a comedian on there, Latka Gravis.
Oh,
I don't
that's,
remember his real name, but he was like the king of the anti-joke.
That's oh man.
Andy something. And
Andy Kaufman. That's
Andy
his name.
Kaufman, the king
Andy
of
Kaufman
the
was a very
anti-joke.
famous comedian. Yeah, some people hail him as like, like a cornerstone, like guy who changed comedy.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think he's highly overrated. I don't know.
Well, I agree. You have to like that style. You don't like
Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg if you're not an
No, I do like Mitch
you know.
Hedberg. Oh, I see
But-
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
a caveman listening to Stephen Wright. You know, it's just like those are the
I love
comedians.
Stephen Wright.
So if there's a woman that wants to get on an intellectual level and tell me that, you know, a 3 and 4 met 11 or something, whatever the joke was, you know, like I'm all in favor of those jokes. Like, but I'm not going to know what to say when you say your vagina's dry, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any like the male version of that would be funny, right? I actually was looking for it once on YouTube, so my search history is probably a little weird, but I was trying to find, like genitalia jokes for men.
Yeah.
If it makes any
Well,
sense.
Joe Coy does some like male genitalia jokes. He talks about his son, like just whipping out his penis and like, Dad, look at my tang tang.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like that's
yeah.
what he calls it.
Is it funny though?
I don't find potty humor funny.
Yeah.
There's a whole genre of comedy that's like, I masturbate. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. That's another like laugh killer. If you laugh indiscriminately at your own shit before anyone else can.
Right. It's like, how devastating, pathetic am I? Let's go with
Yeah,
this
that's-
form of comedy, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it says. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's-
There's a guy that was he's like a disabled I don't know if he has not Downs, he has something else. He's a really good comedian. Something Blue, I think is his name. I should find him. He's hilarious. He what I like is that he incorporates like his disability into his
Right.
jokes. Right. So like the fact that his arm is always up like this and shit, and it just kind of does its own thing, like
yeah.
it'll just randomly catch a pigeon and kill it out of the air. Like that's hilarious. Like what if your arm was just a claw you couldn't control,
I love that. I have a
Yeah.
question for Zack, though, because we didn't finish it. What's your definition of masculinity? Who defines that for you?
So I always say that my dad taught me how to be a good man and my mother taught me how to be a good person. So like my father, I learned from him to be the one that's like, helping out around the house all the time, making, fixing whatever needs to be fixed, being the one that's providing for the family, like with a job or whatever, putting food on the table, things like that, making sure the shelter's there, and protection. And then things like that, that's what a man is. Someone who's always strong and always there and dependable.
So there's no real celebrity that could define that for you.
No,
I don't know them.
growing up there, we didn't have TV. Like we had we had basic channels.
Mm-hmm.
So we had
Me too,
yeah, we didn't really have like much going on, for like cable. I didn't watch sports. I find that the most boring thing in the world to watch sports, because it just makes me want to play them. So I can't, it's just like, I don't want to watch you play. It's like watching someone play a video game. I just don't get it.
Wow.
And then, my mom taught me how to be kind, how to be compassionate, and how to like, be more, polite and things like that.
I like that. So a woman taught you masculinity.
Yeah. But to me, like, that's just all about being a good person in general. Like being a good man is just what a good person is. So it's like, for me, it's hard to put.
I like that. I think that's the best.
Masculinity.
That's the best definition we've had so far.
I think it's a personal thing. I don't know, because like we were talking about, it is ambiguous and it has, or at least it has become ambiguous. So I think it's very personal. What is a man to you? What defines your masculinity, your manhood?
I think it's always been ambiguous based on age and experience. I think everybody experiences masculine. If your dad was John Wayne Gacy, you see masculinity in a totally different way than if you were raised by just your mom. I was raised by just my mom, and you just made me think of that. Yeah, she taught me how to be a man.
It was my father passed away when I was 12.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it was just my mom and then my brother and sister, who are both younger than me. So I kind of filled that role as, the man of the house, if you will.
Right. I like that.
Grew up pretty fast.
Your version of masculinity fit more of a relationship man, whereas Marko's fit more of a single man, whereas mine just fit more of a caveman. So I like the progression of this conversation.
Well,
but
I think
masculinity.
I think Zack gave it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, masculinity with time and experience changes and alters. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And I think it gets me into trouble too sometimes with like the way, because I don't ask for help when I need it, because I'm like, oh, I need to be able to do this. This is,
right.
It's like, it's a point of pride at that point. So, there's pitfalls to everything.
Wow. Well, thank you guys for being here on Public Access America. We're going to be back Thursday with more from Audio Pong, but I wanted to let you all know you can find Audio Pong or Public Access America anywhere you find your favorite podcast, like Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Player FM, the Stitcher Smart Radio app, and of course on YouTube, where Audio Pong has just started putting out some really awesome videos. The latest one contains me, so really you should go check that stuff out.
To those who would tear the world down, we will defeat you. This is our moment. This is our time. To those who seek peace and security, we support you. Yes, we can. And to all those who have wondered if America's beacon still burns as bright, tonight we prove once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals, democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbow. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life.
Ask not.
Yes, we can.
What your country can do for you.
I have a dream.
Ask what you can do for your country.
I, poor little children,
Yes, we can.
one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
That's how winning is done.
Welcome to Public Access America.
Yes, we can.
Sunday live streams on YouTube,
I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad.
on Twitter,
What?
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Smart Radio Public, and Spotify.
Yes, we can.
Public Access America. History in the making. Making history in the making.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were yelling at another car while driving, let me say it again. You need to calm down. Yelling is just making everyone as stressed out as you are and letting them all know that you definitely aren't trying to save with Progressive Snapshot. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't yelling at another car, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.